lens do we look through? What perspective do we apply? For me, this has been one of the things that has really shaped how I experience all things. I tend to be a very imaginative person, and so my inclination is to apply some sort of creative or imaginative filter to whatever it is that I'm seeing visually. But I'd like to also consider not just what we're seeing visually, but also the lens or the perspective that we're applying as we are going through life and kind of the things that we're experiencing. So how does our perspective affect the experiences that we're having? This is one of the things that I love most about human beings, is we have our own unique perspective, and nobody can really see or experience things identically to how I do, for example. And I can't really understand or experience things from somebody else's point of view either. Recently, I've received many questions that are all along the same vein, and that is, how do you remain happy, particularly when you're going through difficult struggles? And I think what I'd like to do is address that more directly in another segment, but it really does start right here, and that is mindfulness about the filter, the lens that you are viewing the world or viewing, applying to the experiences that you're having. This is really how I approach things creatively. Remember, I'm not a trained anything, really. I just do stuff. And one of the ways that I really started, whether it was with woodworking or painting or creating, these magical little things, is my skill set often didn't match my creative vision. And so if I really had an idea in my mind, something that I wanted to do or create, what I would do is I would look for alternative ways to get it done. So I would look at found items and look at ways that I could repurpose those. And I continue to do that today. I actually do that a ton. And I'd like to share that with you today because, number one, if you're just here to develop yourself creatively, great. This is something anybody can do. It doesn't matter what kind of environment you live in. This is something that can be applied across the board. But also, if you really are contemplating how, what lens it is that you are viewing the world through, or perhaps that maybe you would like to alter or reframe things, this is a wonderful way to get started. And the first step is to look beyond what you see with your eyes and consider the possibilities, right? So one of the things that I do creatively is I am a scrapper. What does that mean? That means I go to junk stores and places where people are just getting rid of things, throwaways. And I look at those things and I consider, can I use them? Can I turn them into something really magical? And the answer is always yes. I'll just tell you that right now. It's just a matter of how hard do I want to work for it, and what do I really see it becoming? Now, I guess the end of that story is sometimes I see something, or at least I see its potential, but I don't have a clear path to getting there. So I just get started, and often the end result does not match the original vision. But I'm totally okay with that. That's part of the joy of the experience for me. So that's not something that I really fight. That's something that I enjoy and really experience as a pleasure and a surprise. So these are just some of the ways that I do it, but I do it with a lot of things. I have a house right now that I'm finishing up and it needs to be furnished. And so what I do is I go to a local junk store. Garage sales are way better for this. The junk store is the next best place to find some of these materials. So for example, this was just a gourd that I found. I think it was like $2. And those are actually kind of hard to find, and so I've always got my eyes open for those because those seem very magical to me. That seems like something that a magical little creature would be living in the forest or in a field or something, and that's kind of what I'm into. So I've always got my eyes out for those. This one was broken, and so really it should have gone into the trash. but I love them, and so I just really wasn't prepared to do that. And so I worked with the break. The break was here. I ended up cutting off the bottom, and then I just turned it into what it was meant to be. I just started to play. I did not have a plan, it just kind of came to be. And in this case, I used epoxy sculpt, which I love, and we're totally gonna use some today for the tutorial. But it's totally cute, and I love it. So it turned out great. In this case, this was just this amazing, broken, I don't really know what it was, just kind of a knick-knack. So the head was missing, and I think it originally had a piece maybe where the back had flipped up. The head was missing and there was no back, but I saw this and went, oh my gosh, that's totally easy to fix. And I saw it as either a sink or a bath in a fairy house. I don't know yet what it's gonna be, but I'm still working on that. So what I did is I repaired the head of the elephant, and I'll paint it for you so you can see how it finishes up. But I just think it's great, and I know it'll turn out great. So I'll let you see how that turns out. Today what we're gonna do is, so I have these little rattan, this little rattan chair and table. These are super sturdy. This is why I bought it, because it's very, very sturdy. But I don't necessarily love the way that it looks. It doesn't quite look magical to me, and so I'm gonna change it. In this case, I'm gonna use some epoxy sculpt, and I'm gonna turn it into something magical. So come along with me and let's see what happens. So I've got my magic sculpt mixed together, and I'm ready to go. So I'm gonna just set it right here. And what I'm gonna do is just start. And so part of that is just covering. And I'll start with the little table, because why not? I think what I would like is to do just little rough planks of wood. And so I'm going to make it thick enough that I can have enough space to sculpt it. So if I need to add some on there, I'm totally fine with that. But first I'll just layer it on. So I wanted to talk while we're doing this, while I'm doing this, wanted to talk a little bit about, like for me, this seems, I've been doing this for so long, like I've been aware of how I'm viewing the world for so long that I don't think about it very often. But I recognize, because I have heard it said, when you're not necessarily accustomed to being, number one, aware of how you're viewing the world, and number two, maybe recognizing that the way you're viewing the world has been so negatively affected by your experiences that you can't quite get out of that frame of mind. So people have asked me, how do you change that? Like, how do you learn how to see the world differently? And I can share with you my experience, but I think it's certainly fair to say that everyone goes through this process in their own way. And so my experience is not necessarily going to be reflective of yours, and what worked for me may not work for you. But I encourage you to try, because I think eventually you will find the formula that works for you. And so often, mindfulness is the most critical step of the process. It's just an awareness of your own behavior, your own internal thought process, and being willing to be honest with yourself about what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, and then talking to yourself about, does that work for you? Why are you feeling that way? And is it fair to be feeling that way? Or is it fair to be interpreting somebody else's behavior in the way that you may be? That's often the first step to what eventually becomes behavioral change. So I often say to myself and say to other people, if you look for the magic, you'll find it. And I say that because I believe it. I believe there's magic everywhere. I believe there's something amazing everywhere. I do. And I believe that because I see it all the time. We were just down in Lake Powell, and what I experienced there was unbelievable. The week before, we had been in the Uintas hiking and went on this amazing magical adventure, and while we were there, I was obviously supposed to be seeing mushrooms. Don't know why, that's not what I intended to be there seeing, but I was open to it, and I recognized that was meant to be part of my experience, because I'm telling you what, these mushrooms were everywhere. They were amazing. And I'm not talking about the little mushrooms, I'm talking about the big mushrooms that look like certainly something magical. Certainly something magical that's there. And so I ended up photographing just a ton of these unbelievable mushrooms. They were huge too. I mean, like this big, the caps were this tall, just awesome. And so I was very pleased having left. I felt like I, had this magical experience and had been kind of given a gift, and left feeling very excited about mushrooms. Well, the next week we were in Lake Powell, just kind of close up the summer with the kids, and Lake Powell's a totally different experience than this magical forest experience that I just had. There really are no trees, and you're in this amazing water surrounded by these really stunning cliffs. And there are no trees and there are no flowers, and it's just a totally different experience. But while there, I remember looking up and seeing this mushroom. I mean, it was a mushroom. It was a massive rock mushroom. And so even there, I saw it. So I don't know what mushrooms, I mean, it hasn't fully played out yet, but I do recognize that I was meant to see mushrooms in this particular experience because they're meant to play a role here, probably creatively, in the next little while. And so I thought that was great. But what was also very funny is when I was recognizing, oh my goodness, look at that mushroom, nobody else saw it until I pointed it out. And I think that's true for all of us, no matter where we are, no matter what our environment is, no matter what time of life we're in. Sometimes we miss the signs. What those signs are placed there for, that's different for all of us. But in this case, I felt like I was kind of meant to see some mushrooms because that's what I was seeing. And I was really kind of struck by the fact that I was the only one seeing them, until I suggested that there was a mushroom. And so what we did is we kind of did this fun little activity with the kids and said, look at this mountain, now tell me what you see. And their original remarks were very young adult. I see rocks and I see dirt. And I was like, wow, okay, that sounds difficult. So now look again and tell me what you see. And when they tried again, they saw amazing things. They saw sharks and aardvarks and maps and Father Time, and they saw what I believe they needed to see at the moment. I recognized through my own experience that you see what you need to see, you experience what you're meant to experience, because it helps you with something, maybe a struggle that you're experiencing at the time or you're getting ready to experience. I really do believe that we see and experience what we're meant to see, but if we don't look for it, we can't benefit from it. Now, what is the benefit? Again, it's different for everybody, but I think it's the process that's more important than anything else, because the process allows you to stretch your perspective. It allows you to get beyond what you might be thinking about at the moment. There was a good portion of my life where I dedicated a lot of mental energy or cognitive resource to really running over. It's called rumination, where you're just kind of, it's unproductive and it's kind of circular thought. It's where you really are thinking about something, but it doesn't take you to a productive place. You're not working it out. You're just kind of horribleizing or just thinking about it in a way that doesn't help you see beyond it, doesn't help you find a solution. And because of that, because I had a tendency to do that, I think that kind of robs us of the opportunity to see beyond our circumstance and to see magic in small moments. And what does that do for us? Well, maybe it does nothing, but what I can say at the very least, it provides a distraction, it provides relief. And for me, and I believe for most people, once you get to the point where you can stop and you can see beauty beyond the experience that you're having or the burden that you carry, when you can see magic, it creates hope. So I think that that's one of the best results of looking for the magic. Once you go through that process and once you're able to see beyond where you're at and recognize that there's beauty in all things and there's mystery and there's magic and there are other things beyond what you're experiencing at that moment, I just think that allows you to interrupt, particularly like if you're struggling or really, really stressed out, it interrupts that process that often takes you down to the drain where you're just kind of circling the drain, feeling like you're going to drown and there's no way out. And we've all experienced that. So that's how I kind of taught myself to look beyond where I was and what I was experiencing. I found a place where I knew that there was something that felt peaceful to me or felt magical to me. And for me, that was the forest. But you can do this anywhere. You can do this at Sam's Club or Costco. Trust me, I have. There's always ample opportunity. And sometimes, maybe you're not seeing something that feels magical, but you're witnessing small acts of kindness. You're watching somebody else who is clearly really struggling in a way that you're not. And when you recognize that, you also recognize there's an opportunity to help. And so it all starts with a choice to open your mind. What do you see? Is what you see it, or could it be more? If it's more, what could it be? Imagine, let your mind just run wild, even if it's just as a distraction. When you hear that negative inner voice, or a voice that comes in and says, there's nothing to be seen, push it away for a moment, like a cloud passing in the sky. Let it continue to pass by, and then look around and open your mind and see what you see. Look for the magic, and you will find it.